day, everyone. Today I will talk about the modern school of philosophy, which is the logical empiricism. Now I will talk about first the modern school of philosophy. Now, what is modern philosophy? Now, it is a discipline that focuses on the study and application of a certain method of thought that is notably different from earlier types of philosophy. Now, what is a modern school of philosophy? It emphasizes effectiveness over efficiency and teaches children how to learn and integrate disciplines and solve problems collaboratively rather than to sit at desk facing forward and moving subject to subject in isolation. Now, why do we need to study modern school of philosophy? Now, the study philosophy enhances our ability to evaluate and resolve problems. So, to make this teaching and learning engaging and experiential. Now, the most prominent theme of modern philosophy is how people can gather and confirm knowledge through their own direct experience and logic instead of automatically accepting established doctrines. Now, when you were a child, did your mother remind you not to play or ignite the plastic material on the fire or to the fire because you will get burnt? So just because you're a child, you didn't listen. So instead, you tried to ignite the plastic. So what you get here, you get burnt. So by this example, you experience, you underwent experimentation and observation. And the process gives you knowledge. So this is what we call as the logical empiricism. Now, what is empiricism? It's a theory of knowledge that asserts that knowledge comes only from primarily experience. So we use our five senses for observation. Now, this is the idea that all learnings come from only experience and observation. So its English term is empiric, Greek word is empiria, and its Latin it's experientia, from which we derive experience and related word experiment. Now, this logical empiricism, known as logical positivism or logical new positivism or scientific philosophy, this is originated in 1920s in a group of philosophers called Vienna Circle, chaired by Moritz Clarke, also known as Ernst Mat Society. So here are the members of the Vienna Circle. The following, the members. Now, its group common concern is scientific methodology, rule that science could play in reshaping society. Its logical empiricists wanted to find a natural and important rule for logic and mathematics. So according to them, only the statements that can be directly verified through empiricism, through experience, observation, the logical proof are meaningful. If it's not, then it's not meaningful. So it also referred as the verification principle, wherein they verified their observation and their experience. Now we have here the logical empiricist introduced the concept of verifiability, or a method to establish what is meaningful sentence in science. Now, scientific process. In science, empiricism heavily emphasizes the use of experiments and observation to collect evidence and draw conclusions. Now, observation, it deals with the data gathering or facts and finding. Generalization, it deals with the formulation laws. It's also called induction. Now, in verification, it deals with findings and searching for new facts of information. Explanation, it deals with subsumming facts. It's also called deduction. Now, here are the guide questions for us to understand the what is logical empiricism that in modern school of philosophy. Now, what is empiricism, a school of modern philosophy? Now, it's simply put empiricism as the idea that all learnings come from only experience and observations. This attempts to explain how human beings acquire knowledge and improve their conceptual understanding of the world. Another question. What is the aim of logical empiricism? Now, having a logic of confirmation would thus contribute to the central aims of empiricist philosophy. To understand the progress and success of science, in particular, the displacement of all new theories and testability of abstract hypotheses by empirical observation. Now, another, how can logical empiricism help a teacher to achieve classroom activities? This logical empiricism can help teachers to build a student-centered learning, where students are encouraged to genetically commit to the material and make relations between their own experiences and the theories being taught. Another question. How can be empiricism be used in a classroom situation? Empiricism can help teachers to build a collective learning environment. When we say collective learning environment, collaborative. Now, where students work together to examine and share their ideas, beliefs, and knowledge. Now, empiricism can help teachers to facilitate lifelong affection of learning by encouraging students to view understanding as ongoing process of finding and research. Another question. How can logical empiricism influence teaching and learning? Now, according to empiricists, an individual's learning relies on their observations and perceptions. So, in other words, they believe that knowledge is impossible without experience. Another, what is an example of empiricism in education? Now, another example of empiricism is that children in the class can only learn through physical experience. Like in elementary, when teaching about counting, children count by themselves using sticks. Of course, I know that one because I used to it. Or objects not to forget how to count. Then, therefore, empiricism manifests in various ways. Another, what are the benefits of using empiricist theory in imparting knowledge? The benefits are, first, it improves a theory, gives reasoning, and inspires others to explore probabilities in science as an example. Okay. So because people now are already experienced, so
now, let us proceed to our second modern philosophy, which is analytical philosophy. Analytical philosophy was also called linguistic philosophy. It is a loosely related set of approaches to philosophical problems dominant in Anglo-American philosophy from the early 20th century that emphasized the study of language and logical analysis of concepts. So, how does analytical philosophy works? For instance, in traditional philosophical problems like does God exist? Various philosophical schools have proposed answers to these questions, but as an analytical philosopher, the approach will be, what do you mean by God? In different religions had widely different thoughts about what God means. So, before you can approach the questions of God's existence, you have to define the terms more clearly. Analytical comes from the root word analyze, while philosophy means love of wisdom. Therefore, because of the love of wisdom, we analyze things and concepts that comes across us. Analytical philosophy is more interested in conceptual questions, questions about the meaning of the word, statements, and their logical relations. Then, it is a spiritual and practical issues such as morality or the meaning of life. Because of this focus, it has a reputation for being technical. Analytical philosophy with special reference to knowledge, values, purpose of education, subject matter, and teaching process. Analytical philosophy with reference to knowledge. Analytical philosophy focuses on making language more precise in order to explain phenomena and better understanding of its purpose. It emphasizes the linguistic terms and develops strong and understandable arguments using formal logic, mathematics, and natural science. The goal of ideal language for philosophical analysis, free of ambiguities and formalization of philosophical concepts, was pursued by analytical philosophers like Bertrand Russell and Ludwig Wittgenstein. Analytical philosophy with reference to values. Values are not necessarily subjective, but they need to be brought into a sphere of observable. Some of the concepts upon which moral judgment traditionally have depended, such as free will. The analysis holds that the study of ethics or values is reducible to psychology and should hold that ethical terms have only emotive meanings. Stealing is wrong means the idea of stealing fills me with horror. Ethics can only state that a certain actions usually have certain consequences. One, like these consequences, or doesn't. Analytical philosophy with reference to purpose of education. Ferguson argues that the educational aims are hypothetical rather than categorical and that they are empirically testable when a sufficient context is applied. Analysis denied that the goals of schooling can be reduced from any mystical and rationalistic sort. Analytical philosophy with reference to subject matter. In education, we have many concepts that need to be analyzed and verified, like child-centered teaching or learning aims, purpose and goals of education, integrated curriculum, free education subject advisors, inspector, supervisors, and gender sensitivity issues. It focuses on concepts or terms: freedom, courage, fear, discipline, beauty, performance. Define the terms in relations to people's experiences, consider their opposites, clarifying meaning, and consensus. In terms of teaching process, analysis check normal use of concepts, find distinctive meanings, find common criteria of usage, discover various possible meanings, and how the meanings relate to one another, and other concepts. More concerned with formulation of education, ideas, and clear expression of those ideas for easy understanding. Analysis of the other people's ideas on education to avoid misunderstanding. Analytic teachers shows by his examples that education is a concentration on personal freedom which encourages the learners to accept the facts and beliefs which have relevance for him, provide learners a time to explore his individuality. Freedom of choice makes an appeal to the individual. Freedom to his students from his isolation and his anonymity. Freeing him, seeing his situation and power. So much so that the role of teachers seems similar with psychiatric therapy. For example, like how we handle us learners, we need to know their background experience so that we can know how to approach them. We also have an individual learning agreement. They are free to choose what they want to learn and what they want to focus on learning goals in a particular time.
Next topic is positive relativism. Relativism is a family of philosophical views which deny claims to objectivity within a particular domain and assert that valuations in that domain are relative to the perspective of an observer or the context in which they are assessed. Let us define positive relativism through examples first. The teacher asked the students, "What is the color of the moon?" One said white, while the other said yellow. Another question she asked, "Who is more beautiful, Marian Rivera or Christine Hermosa?" Three answered Marian Rivera, while the other one, Christine Hermosa. In such example, we cannot conclude one of them as wrong. Because in positive relativism, all truth is relative to speaker, a judge, a place, a time, or a society. There is no absolute truth and validity. There is only relative subject value according to differences in perceptions and considerations. According to relativists, we cannot dispute a proposition because perceptions vary with individuals and so does truth. There is a proverb, "When in Rome, do what women do." There is no single way of doing something. It varies from individual to individual. What is relativism in knowledge? Knowledge relativism, by contrast, is less certain about ways of knowing and their outcomes in the form of knowledge. Whatever you think you know is only ever relative to your experiences, your interests, and your perspectives. From person location, location to location, and culture to culture, knowledge varies. What is relativism of values? Relativists argue that beliefs and values get their justification or truth only relative to specific epistemic systems or practices. Strong support for this view has come from social scientists and cultural theorists who focus on the socio-cultural determinants of human beliefs and actions. Positive relativism with reference to purpose of education. A term adopted by Professor Morris L. Beggy purports to be an emergent synthesis, a somewhat new, systematic outlook of education evolved from the ideas of pragmatists, logical empiricists, idealists, rational realists, and cognitive field psychologists. Relativism in subject. Theory where there are no universal moral norms of right and wrong. Persons decide right and wrong for themselves. positive relativism with reference to teaching process. Relativism, roughly put, is the view that truth and falsity, right and wrong, standards of reasoning, and procedures of justification are products of differing conventions and frameworks of assessment, and that their authority is confined to the context giving rise to them.